What's up, everybody? So this is day two of a note-taking session that we began yesterday. If you were absent yesterday, these notes that you see up here on the screen and a little bit down here at the bottom, I'm going to ask you to get these from someone you can trust, someone you can count on to have taken good notes, and we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. Uh, my expectation for you is that you continue and finish and complete these notes, because this is a remediation. This is an opportunity for us to go back and do what we didn't get out of the text because we were supposed to have read it. Instead, we jumped around, got some facts and details, and it wasn't enough. Right? We didn't understand the connections in the big picture till we have basic foundation. Our goal is to complete this unit with the law firm competition, with that the constitutional dilemmas the way it was intended. And so, as we take notes, pay attention. Make sure that as you go from listening to me in this 15 minutes to the textbook to complete this, that you are doing the necessary reading that you missed before, or you're listening and seeing the connections that you didn't catch before. All right. So as we go forward, I am going to reference some things in the textbook. I'm going to also go through the notes as I would expect you to go through them, because when this video is done, after this session is over, after you've gone through the executive branch, you are going to go into and complete the notes today for the judicial branch and get started on the checks and balances section. Okay? So without further ado, I'm going to jump in so that way I can maximize what I can get done in this 15 minutes. And I will remind you again at the end of the video where I'm expecting you to continue to and based on where we leave off. Okay, so this recap at the top here, we started yesterday with the legislative branch, and that is item A in our notes. And so item B here is the executive branch. This is where I'm going to pick up as we discuss this Article 2 of the Constitution. Okay, now, in Article 2 of the Constitution, it says that all executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States. Let's see what it says. It says, the executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and, together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. And then it explains the election process. And that's what your textbook does, too. It talks about how we elect the President. And that's the first unique thing about this office. Remember yesterday when I was outlining the House of Representatives and the Senate, those are two distinct groups of people, and only one of them is directly representing the people. The president is not intended to be our representative, according to the Constitution. We don't even elect him, right? And so the first thing we have to understand about the uniqueness of the president is that he's chosen by electors in a special type of election. So let's kind of outline here where we're going. So we're talking about the president and vice president. And the vice president, remember, only has one job. His only job is to be the presiding officer of the Senate, or the president of the Senate. Everything else, he just waits for the president to die. And so the rest of my bullet points, or items for 2 and 3, are going to be the different parts of the executive office. That's the other thing we're going to get to as we look at the structure of the notes. That's how my outline is going to go. So we're talking about the president and vice president. They are chosen in a special election by the Electoral College. And the neat thing is that the way the Constitution lays out how we elect the president is, well, it only lasted 12 years because in the election of 1800 it made it clear that we needed to change that. When the Constitution was written, there was no such thing as political parties that would make it clear which candidates would be the best choice to choose from. And so what happened was over time, the way the electoral process worked is that all the electors would just cast their ballots. They would cast 2 ballots, one vote for one candidate, and they had one other vote for another candidate. And what ended up happening was the candidate who received the most votes was from one political party, and the candidate who received the second most votes was from another political party, and that caused a conflict in the executive office of having two opposing viewpoints as president and vice president. So they had to change that. But we still use the Electoral College today. It just works a little bit differently, right? When we vote every 4 years in a presidential election, what we are choosing as a state is which set of electors do we want to vote for the president? Do we want our Republican electors to vote for the president, or do we want our Democratic electors to vote for the president? And that's how it works. State by state, the people vote to choose the president. And so because we are not directly electing the president, he should not feel as though he is responsible to us, accountable to us. Okay? He should be able to carry out the laws, to faithfully execute the laws of the United States as it says in his oath of office. Okay? And so the president and vice president, they're chosen in that special election by the Electoral College. They serve as the head of the executive office. Hold on. Sorry, had a visitor. I'm not sure where we left off, but it looks like something as the president, vice president serve as the head of the executive office. And the executive office is a big thing. When we talk about the executive branch, we almost always just think of the president and sometimes the vice president. But really what we're referring to is probably the biggest group of employees of the federal government there is. 2.4 million people serve under the executive office in some sort. It takes that many people to carry out all the things that Congress has set in motion with their laws, right? When we talk about in the 1960s when the Congress passed a Medicare bill, which made health insurance available for those who didn't have employment, or those who were the elderly, those who were young. You're right. Welfare, that system of providing some sort of income for those who are unemployed and cannot work. Disability insurance and Social Security. We're talking about millions of people that serve in these offices that have to carry out these laws all the time. We're also thinking of the executive office. You think of the Department of Defense, right? All of our military. That's part of the executive office also, and FBI, CIA, all these agencies are all part of this executive office. And so it's huge. It's far more than just one guy in this White House mansion working to do all this by himself. What's neat, though, is in the beginning, it was literally just 5 guys. Washington, John Adams, the vice president, Jefferson as Secretary of State, Henry Knox as Secretary of War, and Alexander Hamilton as Secretary of Treasury. Those 5 guys and their respective secretaries, their assistants, did everything. It's amazing. And it worked that way for a long time. And so the president, as he works as the executive branch, has a lot of powers. And so the textbook talks about the powers of the president next. And I'm going to do that now here too. Okay, powers of the executive, because we want to make sure we point these things out. It doesn't make it perfectly clear what the president is able to do or what the president is supposed to do. He just says, the Constitution just says he shall have the power to do these things. And so some of these things are to appoint ambassadors, judges, we'll say federal judges. Oops, don't do that. Federal judges, he also appoints department heads. And I'm going to talk about those department heads in just a moment, because that goes into the other thing of what else makes up the executive office. He also has the power to convene Congress in a special session. Right? If he thinks Congress needs to make a law or make a decision about something now, like if he thinks Congress needs to declare war, like on December 8th, 1941, after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt called Congress into a special session the next morning and said, I need you to declare war on Japan and the Axis powers. President also has the power to make, I'll say negotiate, treaties with foreign nations. Okay? That's the powers of the executive. Those are the big ones anyways. When we talk about appointment, we have to make sure that when we refer to the president's ability to appoint these people, that does require Senate approval. When we talk about negotiating treaties with foreign nations, it does require the Senate's advice and consent. That's what the Constitution says. Now, I want to talk about the bigger executive office, departments or cabinets. Right, the president has a cabinet of advisors. These special advisors serve the president in whatever capacity he desires. They also serve as the secretaries of these departments, like the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Health and Human Services, and so on. Secretaries head large departments to assist in carrying out Congress. Okay? And so that's what these departments are. And I'm going to examples. State Department, Defense, Justice, Treasury, and Agriculture, right, etc. That's the idea, okay? 15 in all. Those are the departments. And they're also executive agencies that are part of the office of the president. And the executive agencies are all kind of, they filter under the departments. These executive agencies are like the FBI and the CIA and the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, right? All these things serve under the president to help carry out and do the things that the president is asked to do. Okay, that is the executive branch in a nutshell. So I'm gonna leave this up here, but I want to kind of go back through. And oh, there's one last thing that I didn't say that the president has the power to do. It's really kind of an important one. The president isn't just chief executive, right? Meaning that he's not just the chief carrier outer of the laws. He's also chief legislator. And his work as chief legislator includes this piece right here. But you're going to hate me for doing this, and I totally get it. But I need to add this in here. Veto veto bills of Congress. Good grief, who did that? Congress. Right? When Congress passes legislation, the president is the one that has the ability to say, I don't think that's going to work very well. I don't think that's the right thing to do. And so he has that veto power. Okay? So that's all I really needed to share with you about the executive branch. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take what we started here and you're going to go into section 9.5 of your textbook, and you're going to finish this work for you're going to finish this work for the judicial branch.